Morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2. Welcome to the
Hello.
second session. Again, I'm super impressed by the promptness, the eagerness, the readiness. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know, they say that it's actually an honor when people receive your invitation and actually show up. So thank you. Can I see some hellos? Hi, Sawubona. Breda, if you're there.
Sawubona.
Yay! Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Sam. Hopefully you'll put on your video at some point. Sam and team. Good morning. Is this everyone? Is this everyone?
I think at this point, yes.
Yeah, we can start. I think the sooner we start, the sooner you can get creative and start with the really I'd say a very creative workshop today. Working with your hands, your mind. It's gonna be amazing. I'm in Milan, as I said yesterday, and it's raining today. Luckily, I love the rain. I love gray weather. You know, I think personally, I think people behave better when the rain, is falling and the sky is gray. I feel like people are nicer to each other. Who likes that kind of weather? Just put up your hands if you too also like rainy, gray weather. Okay, okay.
When you're inside of the house, then it's okay.
Yes, definitely. And the reason I share that is because, of course, there is no one way to feel. You know, what could be your favorite weather? Sorry, may not be my favorite weather. So I wanted to pose a question to you. If you had to think of your space or your library as a weather pattern or as, weather condition, how would you describe it? If it's a season, how would you describe it? Is your library or your space rainy and gray, and you can see maybe the sun is about to peek out, and you actually appreciate sunnier days even more? Is it a bright sunny day, right? Is it a winter morning? Is it, just share with us, because we're not there physically with you. Give us a sense using the weather of what your spaces look and feel like. And there's no right or wrong, because in Milan someone said it's almost winter. It's almost like you're hibernating, and they're anticipating the arrival of spring. So yeah, that's your first creative exercise of the morning. Describe the weather of your library, of your space. And why,
Can we answer this?
Yes, please, whoever's ready.
Yeah.
Tell us the name of your
Okay,
space and the weather.
Yeah, Arno is from the library, and I'm from the cultural. I work at Cultuurklik. It's a cultural space, and for me, it's like all 4 seasons. So it depends on. Sometimes it's like a tropical storm, and sometimes it's like winter wonderland type of stuff. So, but it fluctuates.
Nice.
And
Thank
Arno?
you. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, for me, I can add something to that as how I see the library. And it explains also why I really like this samenwerking, this collaboration. Because the library at the moment is far from a tropical storm. It's more like a Sunday morning in October. It's fall. It's been raining quite a while, but light is shining for the first time in the week.
Well put.
Who's next? Give us a sense of what the weather is like.
Hi, I'm also from the library Hoogveen. I'm a colleague of Arno and Zukarn, but I'm from another space now. In my space, I love the spring. I love it when the trees and the plants are growing and everything is becoming green, and I love the sun. So with the beautiful blue skies, I couldn't be more happy.
We have the blue skies. We have a nice spring day. It's warm, but it's not scorching hot. Love that. There's some balance. Thank you. Thank you. I'm getting a feel for it. Thank you. Who's next? Anyone in a thunderstorm? Anyone in a hurricane season? Anyone in a drought? You know, anyone? What's happening? What's the feeling? Let's have just a couple more. If not, maybe just describe the weather today where you are, like literally the weather.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi everyone. In our library, I also imagine just the sunlight in the first afternoon. However, sometimes it gets a little cloudy, and there can be just the light rain going on, and yeah, just constant rain for a bit, and then it goes away, and it might come back. Just depending on the mood of the people that would be sharing their lives with us.
How does it feel for you? Is this your favorite kind of weather, or are you happy to move on to the next thing?
It's not my favorite kind of weather, but depending on the things that are being shared and the challenging topics that come up, you might feel like it, you know, and it's those serendipitously,
yeah,
sorry, not quite sure how to say this word. This is the weather today here in Rome, and it's that kind of weather that can get you a bit nostalgic, as well as hopeful for the next weather to come.
Thank you. And also the point of this exercise, as your colleagues are describing what it's like for them, I hope it sparks some curiosities to say, you know, to Arno, why does it feel this way? Or, you know, we heard earlier, it's a tropical storm, you know, then it feels like it's snowing 1 second, it's very erratic. I hope you can reach out to each other and find out more, you know, say more of why it feels this way. So that's also the other point of this. Can we do one more before we start? You're going to have to bring your creative A game to this session. So that's why I'm starting this way, to talk about what we're experiencing, but in a more creative way. Can we have one person, anyone with a different kind of weather, or if the weather that's been described resonates, maybe share that, you know, what Monique said is how I feel. It's a spring day, the sun's coming out. One more person. Oh, okay. Since we're feeling a bit shy this morning, I'm going to ask Inka what the Europe Challenge feels like as a weather system for her, as a weather condition.
A storm, but the good one, the one that you know, the grass will smell super nicely after. And yeah, we are in the middle of these all summits, so here in our office it's a bit crazy. but yeah, it's you know, something wonderful is happening, something needed, something that really will cherish and help blossom everything. And yeah, and that once the craziness is over, we will have this really nice and calm time where we will have time to process and think and be creative. So that's how I feel.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to say that personally, being part of you all and your community, being part of the Europe Challenge, it feels like, it's a sunny day, but you know that the heat has created an impending storm. So when you're waiting for the thunder to come, um, which is quite exciting. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. And then we're going to have some action, as Inka says. And then, hopefully the sun will come out again. So thank you, everyone, for those who participated. I really appreciate it. And for those, if you internally participated, I also appreciate that. Dagan, I'm going to hand over to you by asking you, what does the weather feel like being part of this Europe challenge? And then after that, please, it's your show, it's your stage now. I leave you in the capable hands of Dagan.
Yeah, well, for me, it feels sunny and very sunny, especially after meeting the teams in the flesh in Milan. There's so much positive energy with everyone. So so for me, it's all good. And I think that I can relate to what Inka is saying about a storm that is more like pushes you forward. So if you have a wind in your back, it is storm, but it pushes you forward. So if there is sometimes a storm, it is one that pushes me forward. So yeah, I'm very excited to also be your host this morning, and also tomorrow I'll be hosting a session. So my name is Dagan Cohen. I'm founder and creative director of Changency, and Changency is a creative agency for societal change. We really believe that a time of great challenges asks for imagination, and that's why we connect artists and designers to front runners in the private and the public sector to tackle ecological and social challenges. And we work on different levels. We create stories and campaigns. We design participative co-design programs in which we really involve designers and artists in a process that needs to lead to solutions. And last but not least, we also are involved in product development, service development, to create products and services that are good for people and good for the planet. A creative agency for societal change. This is our focus, and we are partner of the Europe Challenge, and really on two levels, on prototyping and on storytelling. And I will tell more about that in a moment, what it entails. I'm based in Amsterdam. I am now in Amsterdam, the north part of Amsterdam. The weather is nice. It's pretty nice here now in Amsterdam. I was born in a kibbutz in Israel, but moved to the Netherlands when I was 7. My ancestors, so my grandfather comes from a small town in the Ukraine, Kremenchuk. My mother comes from Dvinsk in Latvia. And then from my father's side, the family comes from Yugoslavia, or I should say today, Croatia. Mother from Croatia and a father from Hungary. So there's a lot of European DNA in me, and that makes it also, can relate to a lot of people. Also in Milan, I met people from the Ukraine and also from Latvia and also from Yugoslavia. So it's I feel at home basically everywhere. So this is in short about me. Let me start share the presentation and walk you through today's program. You can see all the screen? Yeah? Okay. So the motto of this session is that doing is the best kind of thinking. Because if you make something and you test it with your audience, you will learn much faster than when you try to come up with an ideal setup for your initiative and do it that in theory or only in writing. So prototyping is all about building something tangible, then testing it, and then learning from that, and then repeat that. That is the essence. So so today we'll be doing a few things. So obviously I will introduce you a bit also to the prototyping process. How does an ideal prototyping process look like? Then part one, we'll make a prototype. If it's correct, every team has a shoebox at home or at office. So that will be our basic material. And then we'll have a break. We'll make that prototype. We will share it. We'll talk about it a bit. Then we have a 15 minutes break. And then we'll be talking about making a test plan. So how do you go about, what are the criteria for a good testing of your prototype so that you can get more, to learn more from it. And then we'll end up with what can you expect next, and during the whole program, what are the steps that we'll be taking. So what is actually prototyping? Well, it derives from the ancient Greek and actually translates in the first of its kind. But today, prototyping more and more turned into a verb that means a lot of prototypes to discover what actually works and what doesn't. And yes, and it is a long road, and you better prepare for the fact that you'll make a lot of prototypes along the way until you feel that you've got something really great. So when building a prototype, some people think, oh, that's something very, complex, but it's not, because prototype always starts what we say low tech or low-fi, with paper, with cardboard. So here you see a few pictures that even the middle one I like because it's a kind of a smart watch that is kind of, the feature you would expect from a smartwatch basically mounted to a normal watch. So it is important is that it is something that is really cheap to make. So you're not worried about that when it goes wrong or it's not the expected outcome, that you have to make another one and that you invest too much money in making a kind of perfect prototype. So here you have a few examples. In the digital domain, it's very common to work with these kind of paper prototypes. Here you see really kind of a flow of an online app or an online website. They also called a wireframe. On the left corner, there's a kind of a prototype for a card game. And every theater stage, they make a model and sometimes very fancy one, but usually the first ones are also very simple. So it's ideal also if you work with a space is to learn from what is done in theater staging. Then you have a kind of a more sophisticated cardboard prototypes. Here you see a cardboard prototype of a printer by Samsung, or even a dashboard of a car completely made out of cardboard to kind of understand the size things should be and the distance between the different elements. And here's a more really fancy prototype, you can say, but it's something that is used in the car industry that, the outside of the car is made out of clay, and it's made size 1-on-1, and you can really make any curve you like to make. You can feel how smooth it is or how edgy it is. So until today, a lot of prototypes are made out of clay. And of course, then you have, due to 3D modeling software and 3D printing, you can make really sophisticated prototypes for very complex elements, such as an engine of a car or a helmet. If you have, by the way, questions, really drop them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of this part. Now, something of the prototyping process. As I told you before, it's really about making and testing and learning from it, to put it simple. But if you go more deeply, there are actually 5 stages that combine design and testing. So the first important step of a prototype is really to define your assumptions. What do you think? Why is your initiative important? And why you think it should work? But there's a lot of assumption and hypotheses around that. So the first step is to really extract your hypotheses. Then the second one is to prioritize them and to kind of gather what are the most critical hypotheses of your initiative. And then third step is to design a test. I'll go into that a bit later. And then it's really the stage of building, testing, and learning and capturing your learnings. So there are, we have a test card, and you have that as a template. Hopefully you all downloaded it. So that's, today we will not be making a learning card, but that's really once you already are in made your prototype and when you're testing it, but we'll be working on the test card. So today it's actually focused these 3 elements, and 1 and 2 are actually really close, are very related, and actually can be done quite fast. We'll be doing them basically in 10 minutes. But designing the test card will take a bit more time for that later on. And those 2 parts, 4 and 5, is something you'll be doing back at home and during the course of this program. Okay, so let me first ask you, before we actually start, if you have any questions about this. Let me check the chat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so everyone has the shoebox in front of them and some materials like cardboard, paper, glue, tape, maybe some yarn. So it's basically, everybody saying, well, creativity is about thinking outside of the box. Now, today we're going to think inside the box. And it's a great limitation. So here are a few examples of previous workshops and prototypes. And as you can see, yes, it is a box, but you can decide to open the box, to break it open, to combine the lid and the box. So you can do with it what you want, basically. And we had even last time people integrating their mobile into a prototype, so there is light. And I remember from last year, even there was music playing. So yeah, you can use everything in that box that you want to. So yeah, it's time to get busy. We have, let me check the timings now. Oh, we are really good on track. We'll have 40 minutes for the actually making the prototype. I will close for now the presentation. So you have 40 minutes to work on your prototype. I will remember, I will give you a signal when it's half time and when you have 10 minutes to go and 5 minutes to go. So I'd say, yeah, just get busy. Yeah, everybody's back. Okay, so please unmute. So first of all, I'd like to ask you, put your prototype in front of the camera so we have an overview. We can make a screenshot. Oh, it looks nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, also good. Yeah, just, yeah. Make a screenshot of that. Oh, it really looks amazing. Very colorful. And I see a lot of spaces. I see a library. I see a peace sign. I see with candy, I see kind of what is it called? A route, yeah, it's a route through the library. Yeah, I mean, you had very short time, so I'm really impressed with what you made in such a short time, a little bit more than a half an hour. So we have some time before we go on a break, just to make a round, have a short explanation of each prototype. Keep it short and sweet so everybody can talk a bit. Who wants to start?
I would like to start.
Yeah, please.
We want to make a mural, and yeah, what the mural will look like isn't sure yet. But I use some symbols like the peace symbol, the heart symbol, music notes, that kind of stuff. But the important thing here is that it will be on a building to make it more beautiful. With lots of color and with cooperation from different kind of people.
Great. You're working the same as Arno and are working, right? And
Yes.
they have their own prototype. You have something to add to what your colleague is saying?
It's not only the mural, but it's like the whole. It's like the setting, you know, the street space that creates the energy. And what we want to do is, like every year, bring a new painting back that tells a story from the neighborhood. And if you got the QR code on a tile on the left, where people can just scan it, and then they go to a gallery. So each year there's a new art on the wall that tells a story from the neighborhood, from the people.
Awesome.
And people come together so to create a community, you know, for a barbecue party or just for an exposition or something.
Yeah, so it's the backdrop of an activity that they can do themselves.
Exactly, it creates like the community. So here's dream, hope, live, create, and the past and the future. Because 10 years later, somebody's father will tell their son or daughter, yes, we started this 10 years ago, and hopefully this will last and will be something for your neighborhood
Great.
to be proud of.
Okay, who wants next? I see something with, yeah, okay, go ahead. And maybe show us as well, as you
We'll try. So this is the space that we want to create. So this is the learning and the growing space for the people affected by mental health, but working with the library to be able to teach people how to grow sustainably for what they have. So things that will tackle the cost of living crisis and things like that as well, produce to plate. So this is the space that we have to be able to grow things in, bring people in for the community to be able to learn to grow in a space that's safe, inclusive, and allow them to be able to enjoy nature while they're recovering from mental health as well. So you can see we've got a wee raised beds, we've got a wee table, we've got some flowers. We have got a bug house that's in the middle of being constructed. It goes in it for the conservation side and the wilding part, yeah.
Cool, very cool. All right, who's next? Yeah, Catherine?
Okay, I made a two-part box. So this is the outside, this is the lid. And there is like a little sentence or hypothesis, nerdy is the new normal, and open for everyone, September 24th. So these are just 2 days. And I made kind of little ideas within the box. So I want something to stay. So the next like sentence is manga stays. As a conclusion to manga days. And within there are some visitors, there are network people, there is our library event space, there is the collection, and I tried to make it like intertwining, and you can move things around a little bit if you like. So yes, I want something to stay, and this is the overall idea.
Yeah, very nice. Breda. Oh, I think you wanted as well. I mean, we have time, a bit left. Yes. Aha. So what are we looking at?
This is combination of energies from nature and energy of fire or passion. And nature is our old home, full of old wisdom and knowledge and life lessons, of mutual respects, of all sorts of different forms of life. Red energy is energy of love and passion, to be connected in group, to friend, or to be part of community and part of or to be changed for good of all people of all sorts of life. And we have lovely space for cooperation of young people and elders. Elders are full of wisdom, and young people, and they want to be part of community. They want to be to do some activities, and young peoples are learning from elders.
Well, that's an excellent explanation. Every color has its own symbol, and great. So, yes, please.
Thank you.
So, hello from Lithuania. Our project, Silver Bonds, is mostly related to people all kind of ages, especially older ones with a social background and with disabled people. And as we know, one of the most efficient tools to gather people together is making food together or eating together. So one of the activities in the library's terrace is making Bankkuchen, which is called in German, from German, kind of Bankkuchen, or Lithuanian sweet shakotis. It's kind of sweet cake. So to make it in the terrace with all the people around together, we have a terrace in the library, which is not used as much as we would like it was used. So we hope eating and baking together will help to do that.
Yeah, perfect. I think we only have one left, right?
Yes, that's me. Excuse me again, everybody, for not being with you from in the beginning. Sorry, some technical problems. So I want to see what I'm supposed to do. So I think I'm in the topic. I created this thing that it is indeed something like a route. I called it a terrain for movement. It could be a part of the schoolyard. And as Brenda did, also I have colors that signify different energy areas, like this one, the yellow and black, is like a pathway that you can walk or run it. And then there are getaways to different spaces. And the pink one is a jumping area or a high energy area. The green one is a low energy, like resting or stretching. And the yellow one here is a contact area that can be activities that have to do with touch, sharing weight, or it's an idea of how to bring more movement and the body in the life of the school.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Dagan, we
yeah.
still have Clelia. I'm sorry.
Clelia.
Clelia. We still have Clelia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Inka. Okay, so mine, it looks like this. I don't know if you can see it. And
yes.
here. So because our project works with women victims of gender-based violence, I've thought of, I like the, what we mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, the weather and the idea of how we would imagine the spaces based on the weather as well. So I kind of got inspired by that, and I put the sunshine here, and I don't know if you can see like the rain and the storm here, to try to imagine how the path of a woman who's undergoing gender-based violence and is victim of gender-based violence can feel. Sometimes there are days that are, you kind of feel better, and sometimes it's challenging. So the storm represents a challenge, but then I want to put the rainbow to show resilience and empowerment. Because the idea of our project is that people will come together and working together, just having a confrontation, but just by actively listening to one another, we can come together and we can empower people, and we can empower women, and also women who are not victims of violence, but the general community that wants to learn more about violence in general and how to prevent it and how to fight it. And so then I put nature as well, because in our experience we have seen how being in the nature generally improves the state of mind of women who are victims of gender-based violence, and also sort of nature but empty, also because the sense of void and emptiness is part of the path emerging from violence as well. And then the community here, which is just represented by 2 people, but it's meant to be community with several words here. There are conflict, respect, collectivity, support, transformation, active listening, kindness, community, challenges, loneliness, exchange and sharing of experiences, inclusion, and union. So that's sort of our place, how we imagine our project and how it's actually working. So it's nice.
Well, let's have a great applause for all of you, for yourself. Amazing work in such short time. Awesome. So it's time for a break. Let's take, if you don't have a problem with prolonging a bit with 5 minutes, then we will be back here at 12:30, okay? So enjoy your break and see you in a bit.
See you at 12:30.
That was a short break, huh? I'm still eating something in between, but okay. So let's move to the second part. But before we do, let's do a quick poll about the first part. Tendai, do you want to start it? So, did you find making the shoebox prototype helpful? A few options: very much, rather helpful, not so, a waste of my time. Okay, it looks pretty good. There will also maybe a not so. Does anybody care to comment on that? Why that is? Just very short, briefly.
Yeah, I said rather helpful, and Arno said not so, because we already visualized it. We know what it is, but to me, it adds to the process.
Okay. But it's good that you already visualize it. That's we don't see that a lot. So
a visual thinker.
Yeah, and for me to add, I think a prototype is especially helpful when you can test the prototype.
Exactly.
And I think then also this prototype could be more useful.
But this is indeed, so this was a kind of a quick exercise to have a feel what making a lo-fi prototype is like. Obviously, this will not be the prototype you'll be testing. So in order to test your initiative, you'll need to work on still a cheap, but yet probably more detailed prototype that people can relate to. So yeah, let's start with the second part. Thanks, Tendai, for the poll. And I will share my screen once again. Okay, so this is all about designing your test. So let's jump into it. Okay, so a little bit of a background. So it basically has two important parts. So the we believe, the hypothesis part, is all about what are the idea's most critical points. So what are the most critical assumptions? That means the ones that make you fail if they weren't proven right. And the other one is, what will you be learning about this prototyping? So it is essential to measure the outcomes of the test. And it's important to separate a good response from a great response, and also to distinguish a kind of quantitative metrics and qualitative metrics. So then if you look at the different parts, begin with filling in your project name, then start, and it's a short description that starts with, we believe that our initiative will be beneficial for this and that group because, okay, so we believe that, that's the first part. Then to verify that, to make sure that we are right, we will conduct a test in this way. So we'll have a gathering, we'll have a workshop, those are the activities that you plan in order to measure it. And then the measure is really about the metrics, quantitative, the number of people involved, or a number of things that people take with them or respond to, and also qualitative, so the appreciation of it. And then the criteria are kind of let's say maximum of 3 criteria that say begin with, we are right if people respond to this in that way, or we are right if it works the way we planned it to be. So this is, let's say, the form itself. And so it starts with the assumptions to really realize, to be clear about what your assumptions are. So because this is the first exercise, and it's a quick exercise of 2 parts of 5 minutes. So it's really listing your assumptions, your hypothesis, and as a team members, you do it separately. So if you're with 2, do it separately. take 5 minutes for that, and then share your hypothesis with your teammate, and then look at, hey, are there things in common, or does somebody has something that the other one didn't think of? And as a mind frame, so for which guesses don't you have any supporting evidence at this moment? So that's the evidence you need to gather. So this is the first part. And the second part will be also that is 5 minutes. This is the preparation for filling in the card. So it's not filling the card yet. You can do it on posters. You can do it in a notepad. It's a preparation. And then it's ranking them from most critical to least critical. Okay, so let's start with the first part. And 5 minutes, and I will time that, 5 minutes individual listing, and it can be a long list, and then share it. Okay, is that clear with everyone?
I shared with you the test card in the chat, but yeah, if you can't find it or anything, please send me a message through chat and I'll answer.
Okay, so I will start a timer for the first part, listing, and then 5 minutes, and then later on the 5 minutes to share. So is everybody ready to go to the next step? Just listening, the next step is to share now the list that you make and look for similarities or where they, help each other to make a good list. Another 5 minutes for that. So I'm setting the timer for that.
Sorry, could you ask the question once again, please?
So you made an individually your list of assumptions. Now share it with your teammate, look at and make a kind of a final one. You can already, if you feel like it, already rank them in order, but it's actually the next step, which is really about prioritizing. Okay, so 5 minutes for this as well. Okay, it's time for the last stage before we actually fill in. Before we fill in the form, because some of you are in separate spaces as your team member, will then again make rooms to prioritize. So if you haven't been able to share, then you can do it now. So we have another 5 minutes to prioritize, discuss how to put the different hypotheses in order of most critical and least critical. So by now, everybody should have a great list of hypotheses ranked in the most critical and least critical. And then you can really move to really design a test and to fill in this form, as you got them, the yellow form, the test card, and I think we are a bit running behind schedule. So let's try to do this in 15 minutes, okay? Everybody has the form and on the computer or print it out so you can fill it by hand. It doesn't matter. It does not have to be perfect. It's an exercise to, get you to understand how to design a test. And once you build your prototype, you can refine it for the first time. Okay? So I'm setting the timer to 15 minutes. Again, in the breakout rooms, because then you can really discuss and fill it in.
Dagan, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We are separated in the sense that Monique is also in our library. And I thought you meant that in the breakout we'll be partnered with Monique. Is that correct?
Okay, then I will reshuffle you. I'm sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
And one more question. Okay, so we're actually doing the step 2 test to verify that we will.
No, all the steps. Step 1, we believe that, because then you have the input of your assumptions, but you make it just you write it more like a running text rather than bullets or something. So you have enough input. You should use your most critical hypothesis to do that. And then, so you start with that. And the second step is what kind of activities will you undertake to test it? And how will you measure it? And then the criteria as a last point.
Okay, so we include only one hypothesis or the most critical bullet of our hypothesis or all the hypotheses?
Unless you feel that they belong, then you can make them a kind in a running story, combine them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah?
Okay, now I will send you to the rooms, but yeah, sorry if anyone wants to be with someone else, let me know.
Yeah, everybody is back.
Yes, everybody is back.
So, huh? I see a lot of smiling faces. That means that you have managed to fill in the forms very successfully. Did some of you fill it in as a print form, or did you all do it in the digital form?
Writing. In writing.
In writing, yeah. Printed.
In writing? Oh, that's cool. So can we, all those who have written it, put it in front of them? You can see. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's have another round of impressions and your assumptions. Let's begin with that. Kind of how do your story goes like? We believe that, and in order to verify it, we will do this and that, and how you. So let's keep it to the third part, the first three parts, not to the criteria, because then it's too much. So who wants to start? I see Breda smiling, so probably Breda wants to start. She has the biggest smile.
Okay. We have project with name together intergenerational cooperation. Our aim is that elders became a part of society with some activities, and because young people need good advisors and to develop empathy to old people. We are quite old society, and we have a lot of elders who are dealing with isolation and loneliness, and young people who are dealing with addiction from internet or TikTok or those things.
Social media.
Yes, social media.
Okay, so what is your assumption?
Yes, so we will organize storytelling workshops and events with elders, and storytelling workshops and events with young people. And then elders will go to kindergarten or schools to tell stories, and we also will organize some events with grandmothers, grandparents, and families in the nature, by the lakes or rivers, or in other I mean in nature, or which is connected with our heritage and old knowledge. And elder will be important part of our community, and measurement are number of events, number of participants, news in media, and with interviews we will recognize impacts of those events, of those projects.
Okay.
And we hope that after the project that they will young people will continue share activities with elders, and elders will become good or excellent storytellers.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to go next? And please keep it short. We have about 5 minutes left.
I'm sorry, I was too long.
Yeah, well, it's very
No
hard
worries.
to keep it short, but still now for the rest, the challenge to do so. Who wants to go next? What's your biggest assumption that you want to verify? Who wants to go?
We'll go if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So we believe that creating this growing space, it will have a positive impact on people that are suffering and recovering from poor mental health and social isolation. So to verify that, we will discuss it with the participants to make sure that everything in the garden is what they are looking for, that they feel that it would help them, and if we are missing anything from the garden, that we can input that. We would measure this by checking how many people come to the workshops, how often the space is used, and also doing a survey to get their feedback on what's going well and what we could improve on.
Excellent. That's nice and sweet and short. Who wants to go next? Monique or Candy? Candy? Okay, you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there. Okay. So my hypothesis will be that this terrain could provide people basic strategies for decompressing or resting the body, as well as communicating with touch in a more mindful way. It could also be a space in the yard where children, people can involve in non-antagonistic games, and maybe it could be a way of welcoming people, children in the school life that don't speak the language yet, because we have many children in our school that are in this situation. So the plan would be to conduct workshops during the school time, when you have each class separately, engaging with the rules of the terrain, and then a workshop that is for all the adults and the personnel that are involved in the school. To do this in a week's time, and then for a period of 2 months, it will be one specific day and time with a big longer duration of 1.5 hours, when people will come freely. Like if somebody wants to be there and join the open workshop, they can do that, children or adults. And then leave the terrain free. In the end of a 3 months' time, we could hand a questionnaire asking people how they feel about this, observe maybe more what's happening in the during the school breaks. And I think that if I am, because I don't have a team, if I am right, in the end of the day, people will choose to activate the terrain using its rules without any supervision.
Excellent. Well, you got a whole picture. Very good. We have space for one more team to share their insights. Who wants? Yes?
Yeah, I think we would like something to add. I wrote it down, so I'll try to keep it short. We believe that by co-create with the youth and involve them in the process, they will get a higher sense of dedication and ownership of also the place we are making a mural, which gives them a greater sense of space. And we have a second hypothesis, which is by using color psychology, the space will become less violence and less performance.
Because it has positive influences on the mental state, on how people think and perceive,
and create a greater sense of safety. To verify that, we will go with a miniature version of the mural to different neighborhoods to try and see what the different effects are on the people and the place. And we test that by let the people there use emojis to get a sense of their emotions and feelings of the miniature versions of the murals we have.
Yeah, we let the youth create like a miniature version on canvases, so how it will look like, and maybe like the trash cans there, we can pimp it up a little, and the people, how they react. Like if this was, what would you prefer, and which one gives, like your emoji, a smiling emoji or a sad emoji. So that way we can test it, how it make the people feel.
That's very nice. It's nice that you already included actually your prototype in the process, a description of the prototype, that it's a mini version, however, it is a working version. So you're already interacting with it. So excellent. If we keep it short, I just heard from the general program direction that we have time for one more. If it's nice and short, who wants to finish? Catherine, maybe, or?
Yeah, I could try to keep it short. We have the manga days, and while making the box, I came up with nerdy is the new normal as a hypothesis. And yeah, we want to take the subculture seriously, but I don't like the term subculture, so I speak about a cultural scene maybe. We want to make everybody feel welcome. And we have events, want to count the direct.
But what is your assumption? You believe that?
I believe that nerdy is the new normal. Yes, that's the punchline.
Okay.
Yeah. And we will have workshops in person and online. So we want to have a variety of access for this. We also have, or will have, an app, a comic app to boost our collection. And this app will be in English. So we will have more languages as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
That is to verify we reach as many people as possible. Yes. And the measures, we want to count the app access, we want to count the participants, and want to give out questionnaires. And I think communication is also a measure, two-way communication. So we want to stay in contact with the people.
Cool.
Yes, and I already noted down emojis.
Okay.
So maybe that's a great idea to get a feedback. Yeah.
Excellent. So now I'm handing, well, thank you all. I mean, you did it again in a very short time, amazing thinking and writing. So thank you for that. Now I'm handing over to Luando to go out with with a smooth transition to whatever you want to bring them, Luando.
I know that this session can kind of be exhausting, but in a good way. You know, there's a lot of thinking and doing, so I don't want to stretch this too much. I think you've already done so much in a short amount of time. So maybe just using emojis in the chat, let me know how you're feeling. And then I want to share one more thing with you about tomorrow's opening. Why am I not seeing them? Oh, there they are. Awesome.
They are looking for the right. I mean, it's good. Everybody.
Yeah.
about the right emojis to put in.
Nice.
Not
No,
too.
I'm only seeing them now.
Not yet.
You have an advantage. What the online space gives you advantage over the physical meeting is that you don't have to draw your emojis. You can just click a button. So these are great.
I like the nerdy one.
I love all of them.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
We have a nerdy one. We have a
I
star
hope we can
one.
capture these.
We have a tree.
Yeah.
We have, yeah, beautiful.
A heart on fire. That's
Heart
amazing.
on fire. Wow.
So I just want to go back to the beginning of today's session. I know it may have seemed random for me to ask about the weather. And the other point I want to drive home is that sometimes when it comes to projects like this, when it comes to democracy in a broader sense, there is a lot that is beyond our control, including the weather. We can't predict it and we can't change it. You kind of have to find a way to live through it, right? So that it doesn't completely upend your plans and your life. And one of the things that I want to bring into the space when we talk about not having control, when we think of our projects or not having full control, and when we think of, you know, democracy in a bigger sense than just our projects and our time together, is that I want to acknowledge that there are fears that we all hold, and I want to create space for that. And I want to create space for it in terms of a question that I love. You know, you've just been working through some questions, and don't worry, this is not a question you'll have to answer right now. It's a question I want to leave with you. And hopefully in tomorrow's opening, you can share with me what your question is. I want to know what questions you're holding about your project or about our time together. You know, I want to get a sense of where you are in terms of a question that you're posing to each other or to yourselves, or that you'd like to pose to us. So what is the question that you're holding? And my other question for you is, what is your unthinkable thought when it comes to your projects and when it comes to the Europe Challenge, or when it comes to just democracy as an idea? I love going to that space, right? You diffuse these things by facing them and admitting them and articulating them. My unthinkable thought is that this may not end well. And when I say this, I mean, for instance, my country's story, that we are not guaranteed a happy ending. We all work on the assumption that things end well. But in knowing that things may not end well, what is still possible? How can I still live? And what can I still make possible? So tomorrow, I'd love for you to share with me what your unthinkable thought is, you know, the thought that keeps you up at night. Could be about anything, you know, the thought that maybe you don't want to articulate because you think once you do, it will become real. I'm saying it's actually the opposite. I think we give it a lot more power when we don't articulate it, right? Do you get it? We all hold unthinkable thoughts about our work. I mean, as a lawyer, I can tell you my unthinkable thought would be, what if this is all for nothing? You know, some of these cases are so unpredictable. You know, I've learned that there are moments where the law doesn't have the power that I think it has, you know, so I'd really love to know from your spaces. This is something we didn't do actually in our physical meeting here in Milan. And it's something that I was just thinking of when you were you know, posing these last questions around the test. And I think, you know, it's an exercise that can allow us to create a deeper connection. So is the question clear? Do you think you'd be able to share with me tomorrow? Okay. Thank you so much. That's the end of our time together. I'll see you all tomorrow, and thank you for the energy with which you approached everything today. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Dagan.
And let's thank Dagan for day one.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Luando. Please think of the question that we will start tomorrow the day with, and see you again at 11 tomorrow. You don't have to bring any tools, but I shared with you some materials for today. So I will again share with you materials that you can print for tomorrow. But again, you don't have to print them if you feel better filling
and let
them
me,
on.
sorry, Inka, I just want to make clear, the question doesn't have to be existential or dramatic. Mine happens to be dramatic. What if it doesn't end well? But it could be another what if that you hold about the project, or, you know, this space that we're creating together, or just, you know, broader themes in Europe.
I have the same dramatic questions as you have, Luando. I must say the same super highly dramatic ones.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you tomorrow, Dagan.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
That's the deal. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thanks,
Thank you,
everyone. Enjoy your afternoon and see you tomorrow for the last day. Bye.
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 Thanks.